If what Iran is claiming right now is true, the balance of air power in the Middle East may have just been rewritten overnight. Iran says it has captured an Israeli F-35 pilot after a mid-air dogfight over contested airspace. And the two versions of what happened in those skies are so different. One of them has to be hiding something critical. Tonight, we are going to break down exactly how this aerial engagement unfolded and what weapon systems were involved, what Israel's military command is signaling behind closed doors but not saying publicly, and the one piece of battlefield evidence, a missing aircraft that neither side can fully explain. According to Iranian state television, footage of the captured pilot was broadcast within hours. Israeli defense officials, meanwhile, issued a brief denial through military channels, and U.S. defense contacts cited by Rachel Maddow referenced early intelligence inconsistencies that are still being assessed. Before we get into how this dogfight unfolded, what Iran claims it achieved, and what Israeli and U.S. statements actually reveal, hit subscribe so you're notified the moment we update this story. According to Iranian state television and statements from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, the operation was not an accident. It was a controlled interception deep within contested airspace, carried out using an integrated network of radar, electronic warfare systems, and interceptor aircraft. Iran claims that its air defense grid detected an incoming Israeli F-35, one of the most advanced stealth fighters in the world, attempting to penetrate Iranian-monitored airspace for what they describe as a reconnaissance or pre-strike mission. Within minutes, according to Iranian military spokesman, interceptor jets were scrambled while ground-based radar systems tracked the aircraft despite its stealth capabilities. What happened next, according to Iran, was a brief but decisive aerial engagement, a dogfight that resulted in the Israeli aircraft being disabled mid-air. Iranian media reports that the pilot ejected and was captured shortly after landing, with special forces units securing the area before any recovery operation could be attempted. Iranian officials claim that the aircraft itself either crashed or was destroyed upon impact, but emphasize that the capture of the pilot, not the aircraft, is the strategic victory. According to Iranian state television, images and video of the detained pilot were broadcast domestically as proof that Iran can counter even the most advanced Western military technology. The stated justification from Tehran is equally clear. This was a defensive action against repeated Israeli incursions. Iranian defense officials framed the event as a message that any future violations of their airspace will not only be detected but stopped, and that Israel's technological superiority is not absolute. State media described the incident as a historic turning point, suggesting that this is the first time an F-35, widely considered one of the most advanced stealth fighters ever built, has been successfully intercepted and neutralized in combat conditions. The symbolic meaning here cannot be overstated. If Iran's account is accurate, it signals a fundamental shift, not just in regional power dynamics, but in the perceived invulnerability of fifth-generation fighter aircraft. And if that is true, then what happened in that sky was not just a dogfight, it was a demonstration that could reshape military planning across the region. The importance of this incident cannot be overstated because it is not just about one aircraft. It is about what that aircraft represents and where this engagement took place. The contested airspace where this encounter reportedly occurred sits along one of the most sensitive military corridors in the Middle East, a region that connects Iranian defensive perimeters with Israeli operational reach. This is an area long monitored by both sides, where surveillance missions, electronic probing, and shadow engagements have been quietly increasing over the past several years. The F-35 itself is not just another fighter jet. It is a platform designed for deep penetration missions, capable of evading radar, gathering intelligence, and striking high-value targets with precision. Israel's fleet of these aircraft is considered a cornerstone of its strategic deterrence, enabling it to operate far beyond its borders without detection. According to military analysts, any successful interception of such an aircraft would suggest a breakthrough in radar tracking, electronic warfare, or both. Iran has long invested heavily in layered air defense systems, combining domestically developed radar with imported technologies and reverse-engineered systems designed specifically to counter stealth capabilities. What makes this region particularly critical is that it acts as a buffer zone between Iranian-controlled territory and areas where Israeli intelligence operations are believed to be active. Control of this airspace, even temporarily, has implications for surveillance dominance, missile defense coordination, and early warning systems. Analysts have warned for years that this exact type of encounter, a direct aerial engagement between Israeli stealth assets and Iranian defense systems, would be Iran's first priority in any serious escalation scenario, and now that prediction is being tested in real time. But what the Israeli military said in response, and crucially, what they didn't say immediately became the second story. Before we get into that response, which directly contradicts the Iranian narrative in multiple critical ways, make sure you're subscribed. We are tracking this in real time, and what emerges in the next few hours may redefine what we think happened. Then Israel's defense establishment began to respond, and the language they chose was very deliberate. According to a senior Israeli military official speaking through official channels, there has been no confirmation of any Israeli pilot being captured. The statement emphasized that all operational aircraft involved in current missions are accounted for without directly addressing whether an engagement took place. Where Iran described a successful interception and capture, Israeli officials described routine operational activity in the region, declining to provide specifics on flight paths or mission objectives. Where Iranian state television broadcast alleged footage of a detained pilot, Israeli defense sources dismissed those visuals as unverified and likely fabricated. U.S. defense officials cited in early reporting referenced by Rachel Maddow added another layer, stating that there is currently no independent confirmation of an F-35 loss, but acknowledging that intelligence assessments are ongoing. What the Israeli military did emphasize was the continued operational readiness of its Air Force, asserting that its strategic capabilities remain intact and unaffected. But what the Israeli statement did not address, and what military analysts immediately noticed, was the absence of a direct denial of an aerial engagement itself. There was no explicit confirmation or rejection of a dogfight, no detailed timeline, no explanation for the specific location Iran claims the incident occurred. This stark difference between the two narratives immediately sparked debate across every major intelligence community in the world, and it raises a question that cannot yet be answered. Who is telling the full story and why? Military analysts immediately began assessing what this incident could represent beyond the immediate claims and counterclaims. According to analysts at institutions such as the Institute for the Study of War and former NATO air commander speaking to international media, there are three critical layers to this situation: technological credibility, escalation risk, and narrative control. First, the technological question. If Iran has indeed demonstrated the ability to track and intercept a stealth aircraft like the F-35, it would represent a significant shift in modern air combat assumptions. However, analysts caution that confirmation requires independent verification, which has not yet emerged. Second, the escalation ladder. Historically, direct engagements between Israeli and Iranian forces have been limited, often conducted through proxies or indirect strikes. A confirmed mid-air dogfight would represent a move into a far more direct phase of confrontation, one that reduces reaction time and increases the risk of rapid escalation. Third, the narratives themselves. Iran benefits from demonstrating strength and deterrence, particularly in the face of ongoing tensions. Israel benefits from maintaining ambiguity and preserving the perception of technological superiority. Military analysts outline three possible next moves. The containment path, where both sides quietly de-escalate, avoid further incidents, and allow the story to fade without confirmation. The